You're listening to VoiceOver Coffee Shop, episode number 24.
Welcome to the VoiceOver Coffee Shop, where we share our morning with some of the finest names in voiceover. And now, here's your host, voice actor Andrew Morrison.
Hi there, my name is Andrew Morrison, and welcome to the VoiceOver Coffee Shop, where we start our day with some of the finest names in voiceover. If you'd like to know more about me, feel free to visit my personal website at www.voicebard.com. In this episode, we continue coffee with my dear friend Cliff Zellman. Cliff is the Director of Talent Management at ACM Talent for their automotive division, as well as the owner of Amazing Demos. In the previous episode, we dove into the wonderful world of automotive, where he gave us a taste of what goes into being in that competitive space. In this episode, we talk about making your automotive voiceover persona, directly marketing to ad agencies and car dealerships, creating something valuable your clients want to see, and 3 types of automotive commercials.
It's really up to the individual, it's all about how you market yourself. That if you build it, if you record it, they will come. Doesn't work. You've got to create that automotive persona. You've got to make those lists of the production companies, reach out. When you do reach out, I'm always telling people, give them a reason to want to hire you. You can't say, I'd love to work with your company. Well, yeah, no kidding,
Hundreds of emails you're getting a day. I
got a line right outside my door, 50 people that'll do it right now for free that would love to be in front of a microphone, holding the microphone, doing voiceover.
Right.
They take their selfie, So, you've got to really give the agency a reason why they want to work with you. And then follow up, if you send your demo, you send an email, you send an introduction, you don't hear anything back, or you hear a little bit, when do you follow up? Is it a month, 3 months, 6 months? And my response is, you know what? It doesn't really matter. What matters is how you follow up. And if you follow up with something of value, not just, hey, I'm still here, I'd love to do some spots with you, I remember I sent you my demo last week or last month or 6 months ago, whatever. It's like, oh God, don't give me an assignment, don't make me go look for it. But I have talent that send me spots that they do all across the country. And they think, they're sending me stuff to say, hey, Cliff, look how awesome I am. And they include stuff. Hey, man, I did this Chevy spot, Ford spot. I thought of you when I was doing it. Or I channeled the last coaching session we did together. And this is the spot that we did. And they think they're sending me, an example of how awesome they are, which they are. And yes, they are. But what they're really doing is sending me spots all over the country that I wouldn't normally get to see. So, wow, how valuable is that for me being in the middle of the country, getting to see what's being aired tomorrow in San Francisco, in Oregon, in Washington, in Florida, all over the country. So that's really valuable to me.
Mm-hmm.
And every time I get one of those, I write, awesome, great job. And it usually is, keep them coming.
Right.
Keep them coming. So we've got this thing going on. He keeps in touch with me by sending me something of value that I want to open, that I want to read. I don't want to see a lot of people send out newsletters and stuff, and they're nice, but it's the same picture from their kitchen window, Okay, fine. But make it something of value. Voquent sent something out about a month ago. And it was longer than a month ago, because I think it was like trying to bring a smile to our face in these very challenging times.
Right.
They had about 25 or 30 VO jokes. They were hysterical. I was crying through every one of them. I'm like, oh my God, that's me. Oh my God, I know every single one of these. And they were really funny. They weren't just a joke with VO, exchanged for whatever. The joke was, these were very specific VO jokes, and every one of them was hysterical. And all it was Voquent reaching out. Hey, we're still here. We're still a good site. We're still a good value to the VO community. By the way, here, let's make you laugh for 20 minutes. And I loved it. I posted it. I said, I don't know if you guys have, it was on the Voquent newsletter. I got it via email.
Mhm.
And I said, I don't know who gets the Voquent email or not, but this is what follow-up is. This is something that makes the receiver want to open the email. Sometimes I open email, it's like, oh God, I don't want to see it. Guy's gonna make me work. Will you critique my demo?
So how do you create an automotive persona? Like what goes into that? Because I know you mentioned that's the first step.
Well, it's not the first step. The first step is to make the commitment that you're going to spend the time to
Right.
market yourself and not just do this and leave it on the shelf and expect your phone to ring. Okay?
Right.
That's the first. And then the second thing is realize it's just as difficult a genre as any other genre in voiceover. Automotive is not an open door. Less people compete and less people get through because less people really understand how to do automotive. But nonetheless, it's just as difficult. To create an automotive persona, it's how you create anything. There you go. Take a little bit of oil and put it on your forehead. Take a picture.
Yeah, just
An automotive guy.
Just picture of jeans and a white T-shirt with a wrench over my back, and
Exactly. Or get one of those things that you slide under and have a buddy take a picture of your boots, underneath the car. That's the backdrop behind. Have
hook a microphone right under the door and just be sitting under it while you're
You want to be authentic. You don't want to be too shticky because they'll get that. It's whatever you want it to be. You've got a great automotive demo. And the reason I believe through my experience, why you need an automotive persona is that if a client is looking for an automotive voice, you cannot give them a commercial demo. They don't know. And I'm not talking national, I'm talking local.
right.
They don't really know what they're listening to. You could have the most beautifully produced commercial demo. But if you're talking about United Healthcare and Southwest Airlines, unless you're talking prices, incentives, call to action, creation of urgency, terms, and how you say it, how do you bracket the special? How do you say the name? How do you brand GMC? We are professional grade. There's a way that each one of those is said. The way a voiceover talent spends thousands, hopefully, of hours working on their brand. Same, think of what General Motors spends, millions and millions of dollars a year. So even if you're doing a local spot, they want that sound, their sound. Toyota, let's go places. They always sound the same. You're probably not going to hear Toyota, let's go places. You're not going to hear too far off of what the national sound is. So you can become an automotive persona instantly. Whip out Photoshop, grab your camera, take some pictures. If you got a buddy that works at a mechanic, hang upside down on the car thing, as you're reaching for something. Have a great automotive demo. Maybe tag a video to it if possible. It's absolutely possible. Nothing generic, something that's really specific that looks like an actual, car spot on your demo. Maybe you can have a demo of you doing an on hold. Phone tree is always good. On hold is great because a lot of times the on air voice will be the on hold.
Mm-hmm.
And what is an on hold other than an endless commercial? All you're saying is thanks for holding. We appreciate your patience. Somebody will be with you shortly. Then you got a minute commercial. Did you know that our body shop is open from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m.? We're an award-winning blah, 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 and sell more of that. We've won the President's Award 3 years in a row. That's why your neighbor's shop. Please stay on the line. So they want to hear, that kind of stuff. And after the sale is always good because now some dealerships are giving you a little flash drive. When they give you the key, you pop it in. Thanks for shopping. We're as excited as you are for buying your new car at Cliffy Toyota. Did you know that maintenance is a regular part and our service hours are open from? So there's all kinds of things you can do. You load up your page with a bunch of different things that all pertain to the genre that you want to do. Now, I always recommend, unless you have hardcore representation, unless you are a SAG member, don't set your goals for national spots. It's very difficult. They're very hard to get. Um, those auditions are going to go to the big powerhouse agencies. You're not going to get a phone call from General Motors and ask you to read.
No.
If you do local, which is you can do anywhere in the country as long as you don't cross airspace, that may restrict you if you want to, if you eventually do move into national, um, because you have to sign non-compete.
Mm-hmm.
There's all kinds of stacks of papers and contracts that your agents and managers all take care of with the hot shots at GM or whoever you're working with. You do a Ford spot, you can't do a Chevy spot. But yeah, that should be our biggest problem, right?
Right.
God forbid Chevy and Ford should both want me. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it.
Right.
So, I see people on, oh no, I'll never do this because then, you won't, if you do Pepsi, you won't be able to do Coke. Excuse me, So, it's really kind of a rough road to do a national spot without the heavyweights behind you, which is why local and regional is great. For those that don't know, there's three main levels of automotive, also known as tiers: tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. Tier 1 is manufacturers advertising: Ford spot, Chevy spot. It's all Chevy. It's vehicle centric. We're talking about the car. We're not talking about a location. Car. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Right now, get $5,000 off during Chevy, blah, blah, blah. Chevy, find new roads. All done by the manufacturer. Tier 2 is regional, where you will get a national spot that has a regional tag on it. A lot of times you'll see a national spot, last 5 seconds or 10 seconds is test drive one today at your North Texas Toyota Truck Dealers, brought to you by Toyota Truck Dealers Association. That's an automotive group getting money, pulling their money together to sell Toyotas within their region. Then there's tier 3, and that's one owner dealerships. Hi, everybody. This is Bob over at Bob Chevrolet. Come on down this weekend. One owner. Now, of course, we've graduated since then, and we've moved on and kind of evolved. Sure, we do a lot of, on the lot spots, and it's fun because they're kind of local celebrities. And, pretty much the guy that owns the big car dealerships in your town is probably the richest guy in town. He probably has parks or libraries named after him, or a high school gym named after him, and his name is on all the little league hats and jerseys. So they're known around town. But a lot of dealerships also like to have an image.
Mm-hmm.
Lexus dealers, Infinity dealers, a beautiful place to buy or lease a beautiful car in the heart of wherever. So tier 3, it ain't union. It's per spot. It's not really a buyout because after a week, they really can't use it anymore. Airing a spot that has expired terms can be costly and not good for your credibility. And a radio station can be fined, and a production company can be fined, and the dealership could be fined. It's, you got to really fight it to go that far. But usually if something like that happens, the dealership will say, okay, you get the 2,000 off. What the hell? You're lucky. And then we get in trouble, the agency, because we bought the media, we
Right.
bought the time. Well, that was supposed to be last Monday, not this Monday. Doesn't happen very often, if ever. But the one owner may have multiple dealerships. He could have a used dealership. He could have a import dealership. He could have a Chevy dealership. He could have, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So you get in with one owner. In Dallas, the guy would be Huff Hines. I mean, he owns everything here in Dallas, and he's got, multiple dealerships all over the city. And they'll use different voices for different, dealerships. The Ford guy, the used guy is going to be different, maybe. But it's wide open, and when you hook up with an advertising agency, that agency can have 20, 30, 40 active clients all over the country. So instead of getting a agent the way a voice talent normally would get an agent to get them jobs, local automotive guy hooks up with an ad agency, and that really kind of becomes their agent. They'll call you up. Hey, Andy, you got anybody in Houston? Yeah, I do. Oh, okay. Well, we'll call you next week. Or, hey, Andy, you got any, you're working with a dealership in Chicago? No. Well, you got one now. I'll send you the script. Read it. I want it back in 2 hours. And that's how it goes. You want to get on the roster of an automotive advertising agency. Getting in contact with the general manager of the dealership is a good idea, but they're real busy, and the general manager will jump in after everything's done so he can go in and throw a wrench in everything and make you start all over again, rather than be there in the very beginning, a lot of the times. But so that's it with automotive. I mean, it's nonstop.
So I know you studied Mandarin. You ever do on hold spots in Mandarin, or?
I studied Mandarin for a lot of years at UCLA Extension, and I absolutely loved it. And I immersed myself in it, and it helped me secure 6 trips to Taiwan, teaching audio engineering and music production. And every time a new studio would open, I would go fly down there, either with BMG Music or Friendly Dog Music Group or Action Music, whenever the Taiwanese company. And I would teach their engineers how to make big American, production. And so much fun. And I was in a studio sometimes for a month and a half. Rarely spoke English, but I mean, my God, it was 25 years ago. And I can still remember what I studied. If I would go back to Taiwan for maybe a month, my ear would get better. But I can still write what I studied, because you study it,
Right.
But to carry on a conversation, it would be a little difficult, because you lose the ear, I mean, I haven't been dependent on Mandarin, especially Taiwanese dialect, which is what I was most familiar with. When you don't hear it for 25 years, I go for dim sum, and the owner, Mike Chen, my buddy, we speak Chinese, but I'm probably ordering a charcoal broiled tractor. Don't really know. But 我的水平是很好。Was not bad, and 我很多中国朋友，所以我不会说你们的话每天。I don't speak Chinese every day. 我在 Dallas because I'm in Dallas. But, 我希望我的老师 I like my teacher. 我希望我的摆子 I like my chair. My 张桌子 I like my table. Pencil, my windows. That's what you learn. But it was fun. I got straight A's because I didn't have to be there. That's why I did so well, because it was something I really wanted to do. And growing up in a Jewish household in the San Fernando Valley in the 60s and 70s, we ate Chinese food every single night. And we would go to Hotoy's, and I would see the Chinese characters, and they're so beautiful. I was a kid, 5, 6, 7 years old, and they would give me a placemat. One side was this red Zodiac placemat that has, the rat and all that stuff, and the other side was empty. So I would sit there with a pencil and I would try to draw the characters, Mushu pork, or laundry third floor, and I just loved it. So, when I saw the opportunity to sign up, and really, I've got books in my closet back, you wouldn't believe. I mean, 5 years, I was sitting in a recording console doing homework, while I was supposed to be recording, but I'd be doing my Chinese homework. It was fun. It's a lot of fun. And being in Taiwan, it's funny because I look like an American. Oh, you look like a Rambo. Everybody thought I looked like long hair, 25 years ago. I kind of looked like Rambo a little bit with the long black hair, and they would talk about me and not know that I understood, what they were saying.
Mm-hmm.
And that was fun. One time I think I was in an elevator and one guy says, my God, that guy's as big as a cow, because I was a big guy, and next to them. So as the doors open, I walk out, I turn around and I went, moo. And they were like, they didn't expect that, but it was fun. It was a lot of fun.
What else
I'm,
do you do outside of voiceover, outside of the booth? What really rocks your socks off? Like what other hobbies or just things that take your mind away from the booth?
well, I've got my guitars and I've got my music that I love to
Fun.
play, and I do about maybe an hour a night. There's a great website called Chordify, and what it is, and it's easy. And some people, I read the reviews. Oh, this sucks, and blah blah blah, and I can do this myself. What it is you any song on YouTube, any song, type it in. It'll pull up the video in the upper right hand corner, and then you'll get a scroll of the chord chart,
Really?
real time. So you pick Somebody to Love for Queen. There's the video, and it tick, 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 and the chords. As it's playing, you see the chords moving, and you just sit there and play along. It's so much fun. One night I'll do like all Bruce Springsteen, then I'll do all Pink Floyd, then I'll do all Alice Cooper, then I'll do all,
That's neat.
it's fun. Chordify.net, Cordify.net. It's like $6 a month. I love it. And everything, the most esoteric stuff you would never think was up there. And what you think is esoteric is mainstream to YouTube, because YouTube gets crazy deep.
Mhm.
And I do a night of Zappa, and sometimes it'll be a guitar night, sometimes it'll be a bass night, but that's fun. When I was in high school, I skipped every class and spent the entire senior year in the jewelry shop. And this was back in the days when we had auto shop and wood shop and metal shop and jewelry shop. And they don't do that anymore because of insurance. Kid cuts off his finger. Back in the 70s, like, oh, dude, that's radical. They go to the hospital, they come back the next day. Now they shut down the school, and,
Right.
and Dateline is there, So there was a girl in print shop that got her big chunk of her hair ripped out in one of the automatic presses. We just said, man, it was her fault. You got to tie your hair back. You got to be careful. So I made a lot of jewelry, and that actually paid for a lot of stuff in college. And as I got out of school and started to get more involved in my career, I got further away from that. And about 4, 5, 6 months ago, I said, I want to do it again. So it's because, it's so intense from 7 o'clock in the morning to me until 7, 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night, that if I'm not playing my guitar, I'm in my jewelry shop doing that wonderfully repetitive, listening to Thick as a Brick, some old prog from the 70s, and filing away. And it's nice and quiet, so it's therapy. And I give them away for special gifts. I did one for one of my best VO buddies that was the executive producer of VO Atlanta, Christy Bowen. I don't know if you know Christy.
Yeah, I know who Christy Bowen is.
So she's been like one of my bestest buddies in VO for 10 years going on. We're always in a position where we're there to support each other. I joined in with ACM, and like 2 weeks later, or either 2 weeks before or 2 weeks later, Christy, now part of ACM. It's like, whoa, are you following me? Are you following me? We've actually done breakout sessions where her and I were the only ones that showed up at our own breakout sessions, just to give each other moral support, So I made her a beautiful ring all during VO Atlanta. And the neat thing about it is when I'm making it for somebody, as I'm sitting there working on it, I'm thinking about them, and I'm thinking about the good times we've had, things that we've done, and conversations that we've had, sessions we've done together, projects we've worked on watching each other grow. And that kind of puts a little, magic into it, I think. And then when I send it off, and every time she looks at it, she'll say, hey, thanks, Cliff. And it's fun. And to me, it's worth more than the $40.
Right.
And so anyway, that's what I do. My jewelry, my music, my dog, my kids, my wife. What else do I do for fun? Nothing. I do whatever my wife tells me to do, basically, is what I do for fun.
So what are some of the resources that have kind of helped take you from stocking Cokes and the band spreads to being where you are today? What do you believe some of those resources were?
Staying alive. Dude, it wasn't easy staying alive in LA in the 80s. They were dropping like flies. Resources, surrounding yourself with the best people you possibly can. keep your mouth shut, keep your eyes open, keep your ears open. Don't look too needy. Resources. When I was growing up and the internet really first started to take off was maybe 1992. We had bulletin board services that we used to go to that were college, run.
Mhm.
So if there was any questions about audio and microphones and acoustics and theory, the questions that we had back then were much more scientific, um, much more standardized,
Mhm.
because you had a recording studio, a microphone, tape. There were certain laws of physics and acoustics and math and music, and you know, that applied across the board. So the things that we were looking for, we could find the answers in textbooks. If you want to know more about a cardioid pattern or figure eight pattern, you want to know more about Fletcher-Munson curve or whatever, there was a textbook that had that information. Nowadays, who knows where you can get your information? You can get your information from the worst possible source you could imagine. And that pretty much happens to be Facebook. I hate to say it, but, you know, relying on Facebook as a resource is not a good idea. I was always very self-sufficient. I've always wanted to do it myself. And when I was, first in the studios, like I said before, I was like a client being a band. I was in the studio. I always wanted to fire the engineer and I wanted to mix it and I wanted to do that myself. And I wanted to be the editor and I wanted to be the one, which kind of makes it hard now because with my demo, almost live, amazing demos, I write all the scripts, I direct, I edit. I don't want anybody else to do it. I mean, they certainly could, but I want to do it. And to me, that's part of the fun. But resources in my early days were textbooks. Now my resources are my colleagues, and I'm pretty picky about who I talk to. There's maybe half a dozen people out there, and I'm supposed to know all the answers. I can't go on Facebook and ask a question. What? Dude, you're supposed to know that. I don't. It's like, oh, Emmett Andrews. Dude, Emmett Andrews is off the charts, right on everything he says. Emmett. Of course, Emmett.
Yes.
Yeah. Do you agree with me?
Yes, 100%.
Everything the guy says. Everybody else has their opinion, and they're hit and miss. But Emmett is, I don't know. I mean, the guy's got to be like an idiot savant, which is a good thing. I don't mean that in a bad way.
Right.
But every answer, everybody, there's answers, and then there's Emmett. And it pretty much stops after that, But he's great. One-on-one is always the way. A great resource for newcomers is obviously Voice One, via Atlanta. Now that everything's opening up again, Voice One is going to be in Dallas in August this year. So I'm going to have a lot of fun there. I'm going to be doing a couple of workshops. I'm going to be on a couple of panels, hopefully, and a couple other things that I probably shouldn't talk about because I don't know all that much about them yet. But it'll be fun, and I love the big bashes. I live for that stuff. I'm the first guy to go to bed. I'm in bed at 10:30, 11 o'clock every night during a convention, because in my early days you'd stay up all night and be wrecked for the next day.
Mhm.
So never drink, never ever drink at a convention. Stay sober as a judge. You never know when you're gonna be asked to say something, or you don't want to say something stupid.
Right.
But I've seen them. I'll tell you what, man, you get really drunk at a convention, that is not good for your career. That's the main thing that people remember. And it's hard to get away from that. So stay sober, no matter how much fun you're having, or no matter how cute you think you are. I take it from an old guy. I know for a fact. But I love that stuff. And that's a great resource now. Other great resources are some of the online workshops. Mary Lynn's got a great one.
Mhm.
Dave Lenoy's got a great one. Jay Michael's always got great one. Ann's got great ones. the circle of the top 5 or 6 names that come to mind, there's a reason they're the top 5 or 6 names that come to mind. They're really good. Dave Walsh is really good. Eric Romanowski's really good. They all have something to offer. Jody Gottlieb, Ellie Ray, and Deb, have tons to offer. So it's easier to get resources now than there was obviously before the internet. But the problem is you kind of have to filter through.
Right.
You pull out a textbook from W. Walter, Hutchinson,
Right.
on acoustics and the laws of something pertaining to something, that's probably pretty right on. But some guy will post the ultimate voiceover microphone guide, and include an SM58. No, it's there. I mean, I can give you the link. It's crazy. And he took a lot of heat for it. No problem with, hey, these are my favorite microphones.
Right.
Don't put out the ultimate, anything. There's so many different opinions, and since we're dealing with, the human characteristic, everybody's different. Every voice is different. An eighth of a millimeter is one way or another in your throat or your nasal passages completely changes your voice, completely changes your story, where you live, your environment, all that stuff. So there's no one thing, which is why guys like me have got dozen microphones back there, and I got more headphones sitting on a stand over here. Pick a headphone. I don't care which one, whichever one you want. Oh, it's got to be this. Oh no, I only use the DT. Blah 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 blah. So, but there's plenty. Do your homework. No matter where you get your resource, do your homework. I believe nobody.
Well, thanks, man. This has been a blast. Thank you so much for coming on.
I'm tired.
I really hope you enjoyed listening to Cliff talk about the steps to getting into the automotive space, creating a follow-up that makes the receiver want to open the email, and the different parts of his voiceover engine that keep it running. If you would like to know more about Cliff or how to book his phenomenal audio services, you can visit him at www.a-mazingdemos.com. Thank you to Cliff for giving us such actionable advice that we can put into place right now. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you next time.
Thank you for listening to the Voiceover Coffee Shop. For more information on guests, new episodes, and more, be sure to visit www.vocoffeeshop.com.